50 some odd days before the race, we're finally starting to try to grade the two plans, right?
Finally.
You made an effort at that.
At least talking about a real issue as opposed to any others I could mention. But, you know, I've spent the last few weeks talking to tax experts, both conservative Republicans and liberal Democrats and people in the middle. And generally, the sense is Trump's plan, if you can call it a plan, is so reckless it's almost hard to take seriously. First of all, it's changed 3 times, most recently yesterday. For fiscal conservatives, it just blows open the deficit. I mean, the original plan had about $10 trillion in tax cuts with no obvious offsetting expense cuts. So how are you going to pay for that? I don't know. Yesterday, nobody's really been able to run those numbers yet. It looks like maybe he's going to get down to 4 or 5 trillion, but we still are talking trillion.
Well, he says you pay for it with much faster economic growth, which he says could get up to 3.5%.
We've heard that before. No serious economist believes that you can generate 10 trillion or more in tax revenue through faster economic growth through tax cuts, especially at the high end where they're focused. And not only that, his cuts are. Real estate developers are already probably the most favored class of person in the tax code. And he doubles down on that and opens up some new breaks for real estate developers. It's absolutely breathtaking. I think he is abandoning the worst of that, which was the 15% rate for LLCs, because most of his stuff comes through an LLC. But just think about it. Most law firms are LLCs. So he's like proposing reducing lawyers' taxes to 15%. I mean, this is, frankly, it's reckless.
And you pointed out
bizarre.
in the previous column, of course, the fact that having consulted many experts, he may likely pay nothing in taxes.
Yes.
But specific to Hillary, and I read the column this morning, actually in the newspaper, which is rare that I do that.
No.
Yeah, it was a nice drink in my coffee. But Hillary's, it's complicated, Jim. And there's a lot of things going on here in terms of the rates and the different places things kick in.
It is so complicated. I mean, it basically preserves all the complexities of the existing code, which, by the way, includes the provisions that benefit Trump. She hasn't really addressed those yet. And then layers on more. I mean, viewers of this show presumably have capital gains. She wants to take capital gains rates from 2, less than a year and more of the year, to 7. And, I mean, I can't even imagine the complexity of that and how that would actually work. That's going to add thousands of pages to the already 75,000-page tax code.
Does Trump get any credit for just simplicity, from going from 7 to 9, from going 35?
Well, not really. Yeah, he does. He reduces the number of brackets, which simplifies it a little bit. But he hasn't touched any of the enormously complicated exemptions and deductions, which, by the way, what is really disappointing to a lot of tax people on both sides of the political equation is that you can't call either one of these reform proposals. This is nothing like the grand bargain that we almost had in the Obama administration, or really, which is what Ryan has been aiming for, which is some way to simplify, make it more fair, strip out all of these unbelievably complicated loopholes, and then lower the rates for everybody, which you could probably do. You get rid of some of these deductions.
The philosophies are sort of interesting behind this as well. So Clinton's plan ultimately raises taxes on the wealthy and on business, correct?
Right.
That used to be much more popular. It seems like Donald Trump has turned the whole populist idea on its head. Are you surprised that idea is not gaining more traction among the public?
Yeah, I am kind of surprised. I mean, I will say, one thing you have to say for the Clinton plan is it's clear. It's very straightforward. And by the way, it doesn't blow out the deficit. It doesn't address long-term, entitlements, but nevertheless, it finds a way to pay for the social program she's proposing. So I give her credit for that. How's she going to do it? Soak the rich. I mean, it's the upper 5%. She claims the 95%, and everybody agreed this is correct, would not pay any more. So it's this 5%. And she's going to get another $450 billion maybe, out of this, and along with other proposed tax increases. It's, it only affects a few people, but it doesn't seem to be, people aren't getting excited about it. On the other hand, who's even talking about the Clinton tax plan?
Very few people.
When I started talking to people who were not tax experts, most people couldn't even tell me what they were.
How come Republicans aren't talking more about deficit busting? Haven't they typically been more focused on deficits than the Democrats?
That has traditionally been a Republican issue. And by the way, some are, like the Business Roundtable is not, doesn't like the Trump plan because it cuts corporate taxes too much. Can you imagine that? The leaders of business saying, no, this is going too far. They'd be happy with like 20 or 25% of the current 35. He wants to take it down even lower. That just blows open the deficit. No serious fiscal economist believes you can afford these kinds of tax cuts.
At the very least, it's starting to get talked about,
Well, it should be, because these are really big issues that affect the economy, the pocketbook, and ultimately affect every single, American.
We've got 7 weeks to go over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Hey CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find videos packed with all of the information that you need to be smarter about your finances. You can subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me or the I right here to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.